Welcome back, Chelsea fans, to another London is Blue podcast, YouTube exclusive. And that's right. Today we are talking about none other than Keira Walsh and her potential impact for the Chelsea women's team that is chasing a historic quadruple. That is right. I'm wearing this shirt on purpose during this video because Chelsea are chasing the big one. And Keira Walsh signed last Thursday at transfer deadline day for the women's team. Is a huge addition. And so we're going to get into what she brings to the team, the profile, the flexibility that this builds in for Sonia Bonpastor, and so much more in this video. But first and foremost, can we just round of applause for Paul Green and the rest of the Chelsea women's staff who had a historic transfer window at a time where Chelsea were already going from strength to strength in the league, had already advanced in the Champions League, as the number one seed, had already advanced in the FA Cup, in the League Cup, and so on. And this is a team that is not content standing still. They don't want to just win and then keep the same team and keep winning. Something that we historically saw under Emma Hayes, where Chelsea would go in and they'd win a bunch of stuff, and then she would make some transfers. We all would kind of scratch our head, going, I thought we had a great team already. What's the deal? Why are we doing this? Constant evolution at Chelsea. And while other teams, namely Arsenal, sat still for the most part in this window, did not achieve their targets, did not get the big name signings they wanted, Chelsea did. And they showed the ambition and the fight. And Paul Green absolutely nailed it in this window. Not only do you pick up Naomi Girma, which we've already done a video on, and please go watch that, but you pick up a backup goalkeeper, as it was announced that Zecira Musovic is pregnant and will not be participating in the playing staff for the rest of the season. So you go and pick up Liefting from the Dutch League, who already has a ton of caps and has already been called up to the Dutch national team. So you get a backup goalkeeper that is experienced and young, and potentially a successor to an already young Hannah Hampton at some stage. But then you go on transfer deadline day, rumored like slightly before, and you pick up one of the world's best defensive midfielders, especially from a ball progression perspective, in Keira Walsh, former Manchester City, then Barcelona, now Chelsea player. She's kind of gone through a ton of transformation in her career, but she's 27. She's in the prime of her career. She's won Champions League medals the last 2 years at Barcelona, begrudgingly, because they played through Chelsea both of those times. And, we're at a stage where, she's joining Chelsea at a prime moment. Not only is she a unique player and she can do a whole bunch of really great things to help Chelsea advance and potentially be a little bit more clinical with the ball, but she is one that will help Chelsea advance from a experience standpoint and bring a winning mentality. So let's dive into exactly why this signing was made. First, signing was done for huge money, but not as big as everyone was reporting initially. This is £440,000. And in the women's game, this is one of the top 5 most expensive signings ever. Obviously, Naomi Girma was number one at around £900,000. Broke the $1 million mark, but she's 27, signed a 4.5-year deal with the club that will basically take her into her early 30s. She was going to leave for free at the end of the season. She did not want to renew with Barcelona, and so basically made it known, like, hey, I'm not going to renew. You might as well sell me. And there was a deal to be done, and she did it. She said, I'm very happy to be here, very excited to get started. Speaking to Paul Green, Sonia, and Camille, I just got a good feeling from them. It's been very positive. I want to play for this club and fight for the badge. You look at the history of trophies Chelsea have won. I'm an ambitious player and person, so for me, it is a good fit. She was also a part of the Euros winning England midfield, was named player of the match in the final against Germany. She has huge experience getting the team to the World Cup final last year. This is just a top player. And Paul Green added that Keira is a player who will add huge value to an already talented squad. She has vast experience at the highest level, winning major honors, both domestic and international level. She's a composed defensive midfielder with an excellent technical attribute and world-class football intelligence. Big one up here. Her playing style and ability will dictate the tempo of the game and will be crucial to our game model as we move forward. She's an experienced player. She has all of these great attributes and physically is in the prime of her career. But let's talk about what this actually means, because I think if you've been following this channel, you've been following any coverage of the Chelsea women this year, Sonia Bonpastor has really adapted her model to fit the playing personnel at the club. And by the way, it's a ton of good playing personnel at the club. There's a ton of talent, but maybe not constructed in the way that her Lyon teams would have played. And this is something that my good friend Jesse Parker Humphreys wrote about in their newsletter, The Cutback. The Cutback's an excellent resource if you want to go read any of their writing. I would highly, highly recommend doing that. Please go subscribe to that. Which, they argue that that Sonia's model was typically a 4-3-3, a lone 6 and 2 advanced 8s that would get up and down. And Chelsea really didn't have that playing personnel when she arrived. And so Sonia's really adapted her game to play with a double pivot and kind of a 4-2-3-1 setup, and has even experienced with some kind of 3-4-3 sorts of setups. And I think he's just trying to figure out who this team can be and how to get the most out of the players that we have, which is phenomenal. That's what a great coach is supposed to do. But in adding Girma and Walsh specifically, this gets, I think, Sonia back to a more comfortable status. She mentioned when Girma signed, ball playing, smart, can cover a lot of ground, quick, young, right? Keira Walsh, unbelievable ball progressor from midfield. Maybe not the most physical in terms of interceptions or tackles. We'll get into kind of the attributes here in a second, but that sort of vibe is like we're instilling two players who know how to move the ball, have possession, hold possession, and move the ball around. Maybe are able to help beat up some low blocks, as Chelsea experienced those later in the season. These are two Bonpastor type players, right? They really truly love the ball at their feet, and they want to do everything they can with it. And if you look at Keira Walsh, there's a ton to like here. Obviously, playing for Barcelona, she had a ton of the ball. There wasn't a lot of pressure on them because they're so excellent, so technically gifted. And she was able to kind of, I think, roam largely uncontested throughout midfield and make the right pass at the right time. The WSL is going to present a different challenge, right? Chelsea are not Barcelona. We don't play like that. I think we're moving closer to that sort of high pressing pass and move sort of model, but I think aren't quite there yet. And that's okay, because I think having an adaptable style is a good thing, especially when you're playing the likes of Barcelona. But what this does is allow her heat map to largely center in the opponent's half. And I think where you've seen Chelsea lose possession at times this year, maybe finish 50-50 in terms of possession, or 55-45, or even be under, this will help Chelsea really assert themselves moving forward, have a ton more possession, have a ton more clinical possession, move the ball through the midfield instead of just on the wings. Very critical, right? And that's basically what her heat map shows. She is bright red in the central midfield moving forward, and her ball progression moves out to the wings and through the middle, but largely through the middle. And this is going to be really, really interesting, right? She is in the 91st percentile of passing, which is insane. She is able to make tackles and win headers. She doesn't foul that often, right? She doesn't turn the ball over an extraordinary amount, although she does a little bit. She plays a ton of through balls. She has, I think in the 40th percentile of scoring contributions. Don't expect her to be banging in the goals necessarily, but that's okay. We have plenty of players who can do that. And she rates at a 9.0 out of 10 for progressive passes. And this is the key. Chelsea over the last few years have really relied on the wings. You think about all the fullback to wing play. You have a right back out to right wing. You have a left back out to left wing, or a long ball over the top to a on running striker. The play in midfield was largely to cycle the ball through, but maybe not progress it in the more traditional way that we saw earlier in Emma Hayes' tenure. We got really, really wing heavy. And this is a player who loves to play through the middle. You compare her to Grace Gaoro, for example, which was another one of the options. I know everyone wanted Lena Oberdorf as an example, but injuries and contracts aside, probably wasn't going to happen. Walsh is a much better progressor of the ball than Grace Gayoro, better passing percentage, better key passes, slightly fewer through balls, slightly fewer scoring contributions, better tackler, not as good of a header winning in the air resource, but that's okay. Better progressive carry distance, less turnovers, less fouls. The only thing that Guerrero is truly head and shoulders above Walsh on is interceptions, and I think that might be just positioning on the field. This is a signing that I think these two were kind of hotly debated. We went after Guerrero a couple of years ago. We thought perhaps she was going to be a part of the midfield. Walsh ends up becoming that, and while I do acknowledge that there's a physicality that may need to come into her game or at least be available for the big moments, this is a keep the ball, move the ball through the midfield, and score regularly sort of signing. And it's critical because her and Aaron Cuthbert, are kind of opposites in this way. Aaron is obviously the marauder, the tackler, the scorer, right? The dribbler. She, doesn't turn the ball over that much, but, does foul quite a bit, gets into the physicality. This is, oil and water a little bit. Walsh is going to play much deeper and more reserved, but make the key pass. Aaron is going to be the person that she passes it to, and most likely. This is the right sort of combination for these two players. And it really is an interesting fit when you think about the dynamics of how this team could play and move. Jesse did mention in their article the 4-3-3 and all that, but Walsh in Liga F averaged at 8.79 progressive passes per 90. She averaged 7.9 while at City a few years ago. Yui Hasegawa, City's current playmaker, only averages 6.84. Nuskin and Cuthbert average 5.98 and 4.23, respectively. So you're getting a huge addition with huge potential to make this team better. Again, go subscribe to the Cutback, as Jesse is a friend of the show. And you get a system fit that allows for some more flexibility. Yes, Walsh can play in a double pivot. Yes, she can play in a single pivot. I think what this allows the midfield to do is start to toy with some combinations that are really exciting. Because Chelsea didn't have a pure CDM, play it out of the back, playmaker type, it meant that Cuthbert, Nuskin, Capdine all had to do part of that job. But what they're really good at is chaos making. Getting into those number 8 positions, into those number 10 positions, affecting scoring plays, tackling, winning the ball up high, all those sorts of critical tasks that maybe Walsh isn't as attuned to do. They are. And so it allows, if I were Aaron Cuthbert, Vika Kaptein, or Shurka Nuskin, I'd be over the moon with this signing because I think it will allow them to really flex their muscles in the appropriate ways and go be chaos agents, especially when we play the likes of Barcelona, especially when we play the likes of City or Arsenal or any of these sorts of teams that want to also have the ball and compete for the ball. We now can set Aaron Cuthbert out, Shurka Nuskin out, the original Chaos 10, and Vika Kaptein, who is the emerging Chaos 10, to all do chaos things. And chaos things for this Chelsea team, when you add in the likes of Lauren James just coming back from injury, Guro Wrighton, Johanna Cannerid, Aggie Beaver-Jones, Myra Ramirez, Sam Kerr yet to come back this season, and so on and so on and so on, and Micah Hamano and all these great players, is that Walsh will largely, in games where we should have a ton of the ball, be able to dictate play, set them off to do their thing. And then maybe in games where we're a little bit more combative in midfield, maybe we do resort to that double pivot. Aaron drops a little deeper, Shurka drops a little deeper with Walsh, and they try and control that space a little bit better. Tons of opportunities here. And so I just want to freak out a little bit, nerd out a little bit about the signing, because it truly is a missing puzzle piece that should slot in perfectly to this setup. What does this mean? Not only does it mean that there's some tactical flexibility, as I just mentioned, it means that Chelsea continue to show the ambition that we know that they have. They want to win 4 trophies this year. 4. And that is not a change from any previous years. We've wanted to win 4 trophies under Emma Hayes for a very long time. Might have the squad to do it. This might be the squad to challenge Barcelona, to challenge Lyon for the Champions League title. And when you think about the prospect of that, that's the biggest one. That's the one that we have to, really kind of exercise the demons across these fixtures and win. It would be a huge historic achievement. And it would be the last piece of a quadruple when you look at when these matches are played. The League Cup obviously coming up, the FA Cup in May, the league finishes in May, and then the Champions League last. And what an ending that would be. It also means that the recruitment of the club is alive, well, and functioning at the very highest level. Not only are Chelsea able to sign the best players in the best positions in the world, as witnessed just in this window, or if you go back to Myra Ramirez, or if you go back to Sam Kerr, or it also means that Chelsea are still able to go recruit young, burgeoning talent, Micah Hamano, Vika Kaptein, so on and so forth, Oriane Jean-Francois, continue down the list. They're able to go recruit some of these young pieces that are ready, hungry, and willing to push these older, more established players for playing time. Micah Hamano is not suffering any fools, right? She has been in the starting lineup. She's been impacting games all season. That's not a mistake. She's very, very, very good, right? You look at Vika Kaptein, 19 years old, impacting games in a huge way already in midfield. Big chance for these younger players to kind of learn from Walsh, learn from Gurma, but also that we really do have 2 full 11s at Chelsea now on the women's team. I'll just throw out a couple of squads to you, see if you like these. The A team, just call it the A team for lack of a better term. Hampton, Bronze, Bright, Gurma, Charles, Walsh, Cuthbert, Lauren James when healthy, or Nuskin, the kind of midfield 3, if we want to do a 4-3-3, with the 2 advanced 8s. JRK, Myra, and or Sam, whoever is healthy, and Guro Wrighton. Not bad. Pretty excellent. Pretty elite. The B team, Leifting, Lawrence, Bjorn, Empom. I'm going 3-4-3 for this one. You have wingbacks of Aggie Beaver-Jones and Sandy Baltimore. You have Oriane Jean-Francois and Vika Kaptein. Maybe Nuskin, depending on where she settles. Micah Hamano and Katmack as kind of your advanced 10s. And then Myra, Sam, Mia, Fischel, whoever the striker wants to be. Young subs, Lola Brown, Brooke Aspen, Georgia Fox. It's outstanding. That B team is good enough to win the League Cup, to spare the A team minutes when they need it, to make sure that they're as healthy as humanly possible for the inevitable clashes against your Lyons and Barcelonas later on in the year. And there's a ton of talent in that B team that will come through and eventually replace some of the A team when their time at Chelsea is up. It's an excellent squad. It's an excellent system. It's an excellent leadership group. Everyone just sings Paul Green's praises, and that is 100% accurate. I mean, this guy has just continued to be an excellent steward of Chelsea Football Club on the women's side, and is the elite sporting director. I think on the men's side, we'd love to see someone of that caliber take over. But it means that Chelsea want to win now. It means that Chelsea want to win in the future. And I'm just here for the ride now. So welcome Keira Walsh to Chelsea. I am wearing our Champions League winning shirt on purpose here. She already has 2 of them. Let's get her a 3rd. And let's make sure that we are following this women's team throughout all of these excellent matches. There's a match today as you're watching this. Plenty of football coming up for this team. So I will leave it there. Would love to hear your comments, your questions. If you liked Walsh over another midfield signing potentially, or vice versa, I would love to see that in the comments. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.